Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Hi, folks. Welcome back. And those that are new, welcome. Here's an article. Daily Mail reveals secret Democrat plot to replace Biden. Now, what is it, less than a week? About a week to the so-called debate? I don't know why Trump agreed to it, frankly, under the circumstances, with two hostile people running the debate, no live audience. They're going to cut off the mic. It's maybe just figured that Biden was so inept and so mentally gone that he would do it no matter what. He would win. But I have to tell people, be careful. The expectations of Biden doing well are so low. Even if he barely gets through it, they'll call it a victory, and some people will see it as that. But let's get to the article. The secret plot to replace Biden. There is a secret plan to replace President Joe Biden as a Democratic incumbent for the 2024 presidential election, according to the Daily Mail. There is fear among Democrats and insiders that Biden's rapidly declining health may take the entire party down with him in November. Got to remember, there's down ballot votes at the federal level, i.e. the U.S. Senate, a third is up, and also all of the House of Representatives. My guess, frankly, of the people they're trying to slip in, if Biden stumbles too badly, remember they're going to do a virtual convention so they can get ahead of some of the states so they can get on the ballot. Like Ohio, they have to have their nominee in by a certain date. Will Biden step back? I don't know. He has a tremendous ego. He did when he was younger in the U.S. Senate. By far, the least intelligent member in the U.S. Senate, and that's a pretty low bar. Anyway, one of the more recent incidents concerning the 81-year-old presidential health was on the 80th anniversary D-Day where Biden froze up. And then on June 15th, Barack Obama appeared to be guiding a zombie like Biden off the stage at LA fundraiser. I saw that clip. The White House press secretary said it was a deep fake clip. It wasn't. It was just somebody in the audience recording. 2 days later, Biden stood frozen with a blank stare at the Juneteenth celebration at the White House while dancers and singers moved about him before he was guided off the podium again. Remember the Easter egg hunt? I don't know if it was this year or last year, where he was talking to the people in the crowd there, just outside while the kids were collecting eggs. He was fumbling and mumbling to the crowd, the Easter egg hunt, and the Easter bunny came over to save him and pull him away from the crowd. Remember that one? That was pretty funny. A Democrat strategist told the Daily Mail that if Biden did poorly with his first debate with Trump, or he continues to see falling poll numbers, the top four leaders of his own party may come together to force him to step out. And those four people are, according to this individual, former President Barack Obama, former President Bill Clinton, former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer. Yeah, that's probably an accurate assumption of the people that have sway. It would have to be four of them collectively. That's true. They all have to come to Biden and say, listen, for the sake of the party, and they think the sake of the country, we need you to step down. And we need you to, if you can, and you should, endorse the person we pick. And we all know it won't be Kamala Harris. Biden is expected to fight back against any suggestion he step down since he remains the leader of the party and may insist on continuing the campaign through Election Day. The head Democrats cannot let him do that for one simple reason. If he steps down or passes away, and I'm going to be straight with you, I would feel sad if he passed away, Kamala Harris becomes president of the United States, and the Democrats know that is the death knell. If they're lucky enough to win, Kamala Harris will end up being the president. That's unacceptable to them. So Biden has to step down in order to get rid of Kamala. This is the situation that Democrats are paying themselves into a corner with. Let's move on. However, the DNC plans to host a virtual convention to formally select Biden as the presidential nominee ahead of the actual convention in Chicago in August. Now, you're going to see protests. Some of you older like myself, I'll be 68 this November. Remember the protests outside the Democratic National Committee during the Vietnam War. Now, they didn't have internet back then, just the standard news, ABC, NBC, CBS, and PBS. They didn't have any others. No cable, no nothing. Cable was just starting. I remember the first house in my neighborhood to get cable, I live in upstate New York. Now, it was everywhere. The fighting, the protests, the police fighting with protesters, and it's going to be 10 times worse. Now, during this virtual convention, they're going to be able to cast their votes online. Having delegates cast their votes online will allow for a more controlled process if the party decides to replace Biden as presidential candidate. They can't go in blind. If Biden says no and they do it anyway, they're already in trouble now. You might as well just kiss it all goodbye. Biden has to agree. And those 4 people they talked about, the head of the Democrat Party, currently, they're going to have to get Jill Biden on board. If she's animally against it, this makes it so much easier for President Trump. It just doesn't become Kamala. Kamala only becomes a nominee if Biden dies, the source told the paper. Now, this other source, supposedly source, said that the announcement of the new candidate was only possible if President Biden publicly introduced and endorsed his own replacement while standing alongside the top leadership of the Democrat Party. I believe that to be true. If he decides not to run for re-election, Biden, then Kamala Harris is out. They have to get rid of her, and they have to get rid of Biden. These are very interesting times. I know during Watergate, they had a lot of Democrats get slaughtered in the primaries and withdrew and all kinds of craziness, which allowed Richard Nixon to do even better than he had thought. And basically what happened is because of Watergate and the rat effing they call it back in the old days, the Republican Party got to choose the Democrat nominee because it just eliminated all the rest that they were afraid of. I don't know what they're going to do. We live in such fascinating times. Scary, but fascinating. After that announcement, meaning the announcement of Biden supporting the new candidate, and by the way, how is he going to word it? I can almost write the speech myself. I want to run again, but I've been advised that we need a new, young face in the Oval Office that represents future generations. And myself, I've done what I could in the Senate, and I've helped our economy while I was president. We're safer now than before, and blah, 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 blah. Now, he's going to make himself like a martyr, like he's sacrificing his presidency for the sake of the country. That's exactly what they're going to do. Any move to replace Biden is still incredibly risky. That's true. Because they know, that's the part I can't figure out. I know people hate Donald Trump out there. Millions of them. I get it. I'm a Trump supporter. Big one. I get that. I think it's irrational, but I get what they're trying to say and do. It's just the way people are. But the fact of the matter is, how the hell is Biden polling 40, 43, 45, 46, 48% nationwide? I don't get it. And by the way, 50-50 in a poll would win the presidency for the Republicans through the Electoral College. Thank God for the founders. Any move to replace Biden is still incredibly risky, as the newly appointed nominee and his backers would be blamed for the loss if Trump wins the presidency in November. Yep. I compare it to this. You know dogs that chase cars? They're always barking and chasing them. And they never catch them, of course, because the car is a lot faster. But what happens when the dog catches the car? They just stand there dumbfounded. They don't know what to do. And that's what the Democrats did. They barked and chased at the car, and they finally caught it, and they got the Oval Office. They had a scorched earth policy, as far as I'm concerned. They should have let Trump win a second term. They would have had 4 years to really pound on him and the Republicans. Yeah, they would have done some things that the Democrats didn't like, but they could have started clean. They would have 4 years to groom or talk to a series of, well, they consider good candidates, probably Gavin Newsom, which you notice isn't on the list here. He's too smart for that, even though I think the guy is borderline evil. He's too smart to get in this cluster blank. He's waiting until there's a open presidency, i.e. no incumbent, and then we're going to see. He's probably in a weird way, maybe even subconsciously, hoping Trump wins. So there will be an open seat for him. Because primarying a sitting president is really difficult if the Democrats pull off the Oval Office win. Remember Ted Kennedy trying to primary Jimmy Carter. And Jimmy Carter was way down the toilet. Not as bad as Biden, but close enough. And, of course, Ronald Reagan destroyed him in the election and the Electoral College. So primarying your own sitting president is not a good idea by either party. So what do? They should have let Trump win, but they didn't. And now they have all the talking heads screaming democracy's at stake. World War III and blah, 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 blah. Well, the average American is struggling, with inflation especially. Inflation is the worst, most destructive tax on low income and poor people. The most destructive by far. It's a hidden tax with cost of goods and services going up. It's blocking out younger people that are starting their lives to own their own home, which we know is stability for neighborhoods and cities. The foundation of stability in this country is home ownership. Let's just tell the truth. And my understanding, since 2020, real estate prices have gone up 42%. In 4 years. It's insane, and so has rent. The people getting out of college now, or people that are under 30, are getting killed. And they're pissed. And they should be, but the problem is, I think a lot of them are blaming Republicans, or just blaming everybody in general. It's the Democrat policies that have caused this problem. But I digress. What are the Democrats going to do? I think they're using the debate as an excuse to get rid of Biden. If he does poorly now, he's pretty much cloistered away for a week. God knows what they're giving him. I'm sure they're all legal things they're doing to him as far as drugs go to keep him propped up. I'm not saying they're doing anything unlawful, because this website will have a fit. Now, the fact of the matter is, even if he does okay, the bar is so low for Biden. That's the danger for Trump and the Republicans. The bar is so low for Biden doing well in the debates that if he just gets a C or a D, he considers that a huge victory, and his poll numbers will probably go up 2 or 3%. And then Biden will be the candidate. But the Democrats are screwed either way. They really are. And even more importantly, the American people are screwed. This is what they had to do to beat Trump. They did what they had to do. Can't go into details. This website won't allow it. Now, having said that, I personally think even if Biden does okay or well in the debates, they have to replace him. Why? Because if he wins in November, Biden, you know he's not going to make the 4 years in the next term. Everybody knows that, including Biden and his wife. Everybody knows. There is no one that believes that Biden can serve the whole 4 years. That means Kamala Harris will be president of the United States. And I say that with no joy. And then the midterms in 2026, the Democrats will get dusted into oblivion. We might even have veto-proof majorities in the House and the Senate by Republicans. And her poll numbers suck too. Actually worse than Biden's. So they have to get rid of Biden, to get rid of Harris. They're locked at the hip. And to make Kamala Harris agree not to be the vice presidential nominee or try to put a monkey wrench in the works will just cause chaos. They're definitely in no-win situation. Every scenario for the Democrats stinks. They have to pick the one that stinks the least. And good luck with that. Until the next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.